Well, hello! It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. So, let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And I'm going to do some self-serving celebration of the progress of this channel, but I had a new experience tonight. I was selling tickets at our basketball game, and we were playing a neighboring school, of course. Neighboring meaning really, really far away, but it's southwestern North Dakota, so what are you going to do? But anyway, one of the students from the other school and her mother both recognized me from my YouTube videos. I've never been recognized in public for my videos before, so that was exciting. I tried talking to him, but the pep band was playing, and I was sitting right in front of the pep band, so that was a bit of a bust. But, it was just very exciting to meet some people, so hello there, people from Beach. I really happy to have you among my viewers. So, let's take a look at some pens. Alright, so these are the pens that I've been using this week. From left to right, I have my Geha 708. I have a Geha 722. Somebody asked about oblique broad and oblique medium, so this has an oblique broad in it. A different manufacturer from the oblique medium, which is this Lamy 25P. I have a Parker Duofold International, Lamy 2000. Senator Cummerbund, because I don't really know the model number, because they don't give that information real well on the Senator side. I have a Pilot Justus 95. I have a Pilot Custom 823. And I have a Platinum 3776 in the koi finish. So let's take a look at how they write. As always, I'll be doing my writing in this Cognitive Surplus notebook. Somebody asked about the suitability of this paper for fountain pens. I do have a review on the channel, but one of the things I've discovered is it does vary between notebooks. This one is mostly okay, but I do notice a little curling on the pages on the outside and the occasional bit of bleed through, especially with a heavy writing session. Alright, so my first pen was this week's review. This is the Geha 708. I did have to change my thumbnail on the video for this because I wrote 308 on the thumbnail and title for some reason, so I had to change that. But anyway, it's a 708. One thing I don't know still is what the C stands for. But I do know that I enjoy writing with it. I was writing some notes tonight while I was selling tickets. This is the Geha 708. Has a C nib. Whatever that means. And the ink in it is Colorverse Golden Record. I've never really thought much of this ink, but I was writing in my Midori Traveler's Notebook tonight, which is kind of my bullet journal, where I keep track of everything, and I thought, wow, that looks really good on that paper. So, still not my favorite of their inks that I've used, but it definitely went up in my estimation tonight. And now that I'm writing on this paper, yeah, it's not quite as magical, but it's definitely showing some of those traits that I really enjoyed, including a bit of a color change from a red to kind of a reddish brown. The lady who is running the clock tonight, or book, I forget what she does. Anyway, she needed a red pen, so she was asking if I had one. And all I thought of was to look through my money box for selling the tickets. The closest I could find was purple, but after she walked away, I started writing this pen. I thought, well, that's red, but as you can see, it does dry to kind of a brown. So. And I don't know if I really want to loan out one of my nice fountain pens for those purposes. My next pen, which I inked up purposefully to compare to the pen after it, this is a Geha 722 with an oblique broad nib. So you can see the oblique character there, and the ubiquitous reserve tank. So of course you rotate when you write with one of these pens with an oblique nib. So Geha 722 has a broad nib. The ink in it, oblique broad nib. The ink in it is one that I had discussed a few weeks ago because I accidentally thought I was using it. This is Diamine Ancient Copper. Just a very attractive, again, kind of a reddish brown ink. Noodler's has an equivalent color called Antietam. I like the Antietam better in some ways because the Antietam doesn't develop weird little crusties. Although this isn't a pen apparently where it develops weird little crusties, but I have had pens where it does. The drawback to the Noodler's version of this ink is that it gets so it doesn't dry on the page, which is a common weakness of Noodler's inks. My next pen, Lamy 25P with an oblique medium nib. Now the thing with Lamy is their nibs do tend to run a little bit broader. So I actually think this is about the same size as the Geha nib. But anyway, the ink in it is Lamy Blue Black. And you know, I'm kind of pleased with the color. I've gotten to like blue blacks. I have several now, and you know, is it special enough compared to the others? I don't know. I kind of like the Parker version of blue black the best, I think, but it is a nice looking color. My next pen has a really pretty finish. This is the Parker Duofold International with the citrine finish. And hey, Parker, maybe bring back some finishes like this. And since it's not an oblique nib, I'm writing it more straight on. What you can't see is that the page is tilted at an angle. So this is a Parker Duofold. The nib in it is a medium. And the ink in it is Ferris wheel press. Buttered popcorn. I just corrected a bunch of quizzes with this today. I kind of doubt that my students look at my correcting and think, oh, what lovely shading his ink has. I just kind of think that's not how they roll when they look at me correcting. I doubt they even notice the color. Although I have heard that there is some psychology about, you know, maybe don't correct in red. Hey, you want to have some fun? Go to a fountain pen forum like Fountain Pen Geeks or Fountain Pen Network and, you know, suggest that maybe teachers shouldn't correct their papers in red. Yeah, you'll get some emotion. And I will say, that's not a fight I started or really joined into. Made one comment on it, and but yeah, those threads always take on a life of their own, and it's just amazing how personally people take it. What? I can't use my red ink? Okay, use another color. But that's just me. If the ink is the barrier, use something else. The goal is to have your correcting stand out. And if the color you're choosing is an obstacle, change it. Who cares? Okay, so my next pen is my Daily Writer pen. my Lamy 2000. I am having a thought, I kind of experimented with it last year, of what if I have like 3 pens that I just keep exclusively at school, and I don't carry this bag of pens back and forth, and I just keep these 3 pens at school and do all my writing there and my correcting there with them. But then I think how much I enjoy this Lamy 2000, and I would miss using this at school, so yeah, I'm not sure where I'm standing with that. So this is Pelikan 4001. I tried it last year during the whoops, that's not how you spell brilliant. I tried it last year during the COVID-19 thing and using different pens at school, but I don't know, I didn't like that, so maybe stick with doing what I'm doing. Plus, you know, if I did it over what I did last year, I think I'd want to have bottles of ink at school. Because the other thing would be, oh, the pen ran out of ink. Oh, I got to take it home to get more ink. And, yeah, so I'd have to commit some bottles of ink to school. So anyway, in the meantime, this is a nice pen for daily writing. Now we're going to have a bit of a fun pen. This is Senator Cummerbund. I call it that because I don't have a model name, and it looks like he's, you know, wearing a cummerbund. Has one of those nice vintage Bach nibs that are always a sign that you're about to have a fun writing experience. Especially if you aim the nib right. And the ink in this is Sailor, Jentle, Epinard. One of my all-time favorite inks. I like the smell, I like the color, I like how it dries on the paper, I like how it doesn't soak through. I just like this ink a lot. And, you know, the shading, it's got a little, nothing amazing. But as dark as it is, it's just a great ink. And I think you could use this in a business-like setting. Alright, so let's change to a pen that I bought because the engineering was so cool. Because it's a pure gimmick pen. So this is the Pilot Justus 95. Nice Japanese pen. With an interesting little cantilever on the nib. So you can switch it from being hard, which it's not, to soft. So right now it's on soft. Turn this down. Now supposedly it can't flex as much, so it's a hard nib. So let's start hard. So Pilot Justus 95. So it's not totally hard. But it is a fine nib. And now let's switch to soft for the name of the ink. So the ink in this pen is Iroshizuku Shikibu. I've never thought that this gimmick really did much, but one thing I did discover is that if I'm like doing math or something, I prefer this pen on the hard setting. It just feels more right. Whereas normal writing, I much prefer it on the soft setting. So is that purely emotional? Is it something about the feeling? I really don't know. But I do enjoy the pen. Okay, 2 more pens. One of them is the lovely Pilot Custom 823, which I'm seeing a lot of reviewers are calling one of their favorite pens, and for good reason. Now, I'm planning a video soon where I'm going to talk about daily writers versus workhorses and whatnot. This is I discovered not one of my favorite daily writers, but it's a wonderful workhorse. And so I'm going to have to do a video to explain the difference. And I just totally drew a blank there. Okay, Pilot Custom 823. This pen has a fine nib in it, and the ink in it is Iroshizuku. I had a question in my Q&A about my quest to use up inks. I haven't mentioned it as much, and I've kind of weakened on it, but yeah, it's still going on. So Iroshizuku Tsukushi. So I thought a brown ink and a brown pen would be appropriate. And of course, just a very nice line for regular writing purposes. One thing I did discover when I first got this pen, Noodler's Black does not work in this pen. I don't know if the ink is too viscous or what, but I'd get bubbles trapped here right above the feed, and eventually it would get to the point the pen couldn't write anymore. I had better luck with Noodler's Heart of Darkness, but that's part of what led me away from Noodler's ink as my preferred black ink. Okay, my next pen looks a little crooked. It is my Platinum 3776. One thing I've discovered with this is I'm not a huge fan of Platinum's celluloids. You've got shrinkage, a little bit of yellowing. Of course, you've got the seam. I love the finish on it, but in some ways this pen was a disappointment. The nib is not, so I keep it. The beauty is not, but it does have some limitations. And that's why celluloid, one of the reasons why celluloid is no longer like these really common plastic, because other plastics are easier to make and don't have some of the drawbacks of this plastic. So this has a nice broad nib on it. And I've actually been thinking about selling off most of my, most of my Platinum 3776s. But this is one that I would keep. So this is the Iroshizuku Momiji ink. I want to say that's Fall Leaves. Don't hold me to that. You know, another red. I guess if I want to crush feelings, I could use it to correct tests or something. But it's kind of a, to me it looks like sort of a candy red. I don't know. What do you think? So anyway, those are the pens and inks that I've been using this week. So let's take a little trip down memory lane. Alright, so those are the pens and inks I've been using this week. So I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and I usually save the personal stuff for after the pens, but I actually met a fan. That's the first time ever that I've been recognized in public thanks to my YouTube channel. I've never been recognized in public before. So that was pretty exciting. And so glad to have them here. What I was going to do today is I just wanted to talk about some of the progress of the channel. I just kind of got to digging through my analytics and saw a few things that surprised me or things that I'd forgotten. So I'm going to look down here every so often because I've got it all typed up on my computer because, you know, numbers like that just don't stay in my brain. One other thing I just wanted to mention, I do have a pen coming up. I filmed the video recently. It has a very interesting backstory about surviving in the attic of a house through the Second World War and then apparently being forgotten, and was recently found, and I'm now the proud owner. So I'm just wondering if that would be an interesting one to jump ahead in the queue or if I should just save it. So I don't know, let me know down in the comments. But let's jump into some of the statistics. So I was looking back, and one of the things that surprised me is I have 975 videos on this channel. I have, now I joined YouTube in June 12th of 2007, and I made a few videos at the beginning that are no longer there because I just didn't understand about copyrighted music back then, and now I do. So I had kind of a fun hike, one of my first hiking videos of Watkins Glen in New York State, and put, I can't remember, it's a classical piece of music. But anyway, I put this classical piece of music over it while I narrated, and yeah. And I had a couple others like that. My very first, not my first visit to, but I took a visit to Medicine Rock State Park, and I had, again, unfortunate music. It included a visit to Ekalaka and so on. So back then you didn't really have the option to remove the audio, so I just deleted the videos. I also used to have it used to be my most watched video, a tour of the Rames School, but I had to take that down because, again, copyrighted music. So learned my lesson early on, but I used to do a lot of travel videos on YouTube because, June 12th, 2007. At the moment, I'm also up to 5,330 subscribers. So not growing like other fountain pen channels do, but growing a rate that perfectly satisfies me. And apparently I'm at 1 million. This number blows my mind. 1,289,113 views. Now, I recently, I will say, and I put the link in my video description, but my earliest video that is still up, other than the avatar, because your avatar had to be uploaded as a video. So that's there too. It's a squirrel. Photograph of a squirrel. But my earliest video that's still up is a tour of the Teddy Roosevelt North Unit. Teddy Roosevelt National Park is divided into 2 units. This is a visit to the North Unit, which lies just south of Watford City. Editing me here, I just thought it'd be fun to point out how small those old videos are compared to my current one. So I'm going to overlay that video that I just played on top of my face to show you the difference megapixels make. Because, that camera made a very small picture compared to what I do now, which explains the video quality. I didn't own this house at that time. I was living in a rental house. I did own a clock that was had a Big Ben chime on it. And you'd hear that occasionally in the background of my videos. And I wasn't recording on this computer or this microphone. I had a old iMac, one of the old ones, has the dome as the base and then the stalk and the monitor mounted on the stalk. And I used the internal microphone of that. So the audio is really bad in my early videos. And the video quality is low, but that's a technological limitation. I had my first digital camera, which I must have bought that year. Yes, I did. I bought it sort of toward Christmas of 2006, because I actually moved to this town where I live now in 2006. Bought my first digital camera around Christmas time. It arrived shortly after Christmas. I took a tour to the Badlands and photographed and so on. And then it got dark, and I'm like, but I've still got battery left. So there was a basketball game going on at school, so I came up to the school, walked around the school, did video there, videoed a little of the basketball game, and when I think back now, that is 15 years ago. A lot has changed in this school since that time. So I feel like I need to get that video in a format where my colleagues can appreciate it. I mean, I could share it with you, but you won't care because you don't know this school or this town, really. But anyway, just kind of a fun little piece of history that I took just by accident. But anyway, so I've got my earliest video is the Teddy Roosevelt North Unit Park. I just drove around it and did some video and added some narration later. My first fountain pen themed video is a Noodler's Ink art. Just a second, I didn't write the date on this one. So anyway, I entered a contest that Noodler's Inc. was putting on at the time. This video was filmed on May 27th of 2000, or at least it was published May 27th of 2013. It is bad. I wanted to share my entry for Nathan Tardif's ink drawing contest that's supposed to say nice things about Noodler's Inc. So I did this entire drawing with Noodler's Inc. I did cheat a little and use a couple other brands because I just have very limited colors. But anyway, I won. I probably got last place, but there were only 9 entrants in the contest, so I was one of the winners. But anyway, that was actually the start of my fountain pen thing. And then my very first fountain pen video, let me get the date here, so I'm leaning forward a little bit. My first actual fountain pen video came about a year later on July 3rd of 2014 because it took about a year for the winners to be announced. And I won, among other things, a prototype of the Noodler's Nippon set. Hey, I wanted to show you my Noodler's Nippon set pen that I recently won in the Noodler's Inc. contest. And to this day, I've got it. You know, it's in a rather unique finish because Noodler's has never sold a pen in that finish. So, a little fun piece of history. And I was very encouraged by that early success. Now, the video is short. I go a little bit longer now, but it right now has 5,099 views. But I got a bunch of views right away because everybody was curious about the Nippon set. It hadn't been released yet, so I was one of the few giving a look. And so that was kind of exciting. And that was enough encouragement for me to keep going, working through my collection. Because I was a collector then. I have been a collector of fountain pens for many, many years. So, you know, people who think that I just came into this hobby in 2014 and built up this collection in, has it been 8 years now? No. I've been doing this since I was very young. So, yeah. But anyway, that was my first pen review, and I kind of went on from there. The way I used to film it, I don't have the iPad anymore, but I used to own an iPad, and to film me, I'd set the iPad up. They used to have this foldable, like, case thing, cover thing, and I would talk into the camera. And then to do the writing samples, I'd hold it over while I was writing. So, you know, nice, steady footage for talking into the camera. Video with an iPad held in my hand. The paper is Rhodia dot pad. The ink is Monteverde turquoise. And before I get too far, let's just look at this shading and this nice flex that I've already created. It would be fun. I may have to find a better way to do this. Oh, that's not bad. So, reasonably smooth writing. Now, I opened up a few videos, but I don't care about exact dates for a lot of this. I eventually ran into Matt Armstrong's videos, and because I'd been watching Stephen Brown, and although he uses a tripod to this day, he still uses basically a cell phone. But I ran into Matt Armstrong's videos, and I'm like, wow. Now, admittedly, he was much more detailed about it than me, and I think he burned himself out on the whole hobby. But his video was very clear, very well lit, very good audio, very good visuals, very good production values in general. And I watched that and I thought, okay, squirrel. One of the things by that point that I was doing is a lot of photography. I still own it because this is what I do most of my big photography on, a Canon 5D Mark II, which if you don't know, that is a very good camera. I bought it used because, to this day, that model is out of my budget. But I bought it used when the model was discontinued. It's a full frame camera, digital camera, 21 megapixels, which is still pretty good. And I had gotten addicted to prime lenses before I'd gotten that camera. So I had some very nice lenses to go with it. All funded, by the way, because I used to do photographs for the local newspaper and I got paid very well. But different editors thought, well, it's a small town. You should just be happy to volunteer your stuff after I'd been making quite a lot of money. So I quit volunteering my stuff to the local paper. So, but anyway, during that year or so that I had that editor, I was able to fund some very nice camera equipment. Well, hello. I am trying out something new today. I am currently videotaping this instead of with my laptop computer. I'm videotaping it with my Canon 5D Mark II, which I'm pointing at right now. It is tethered to my laptop. I think in the future I may not tether it, but I thought this time I'd tether it and then I can make sure I know what I'm doing with focus and so on. And I guess YouTube has now taken over that role. But anyway, except I spend it all on pens. Anyway, back on topic. Anyway, so I did some experimenting, and I filmed myself on the couch, and then I would turn the camera and I'd kind of straddle it and write around it to do the writing samples, and the quality was much improved. I don't know why it never occurred to me to do what I do now, which would be to put the camera over there, turn it down, and just rotate the video 180 degrees. No, I didn't have the nice words are hard. The nice tripod with the arm on it back then, but I'm sure would have been a lot easier than straddling the damn tripod, so I don't know. But anyway, then I wanted to try something different, so I used to stand in, I've got an arch between the living room and the kitchen, so I used to stand there and do video. Hello! It is a nice day out there. I'm in my short sleeves, see? And yeah, I'm indoors doing a pen review, but I'll be getting outdoors soon. So I want to talk to you today about the TWSBI 580. And then I came in here and I used to film really close to where I'm sitting now because that bookshelf would be behind me. But I think, if I remember right, I sat closer to it. Because I think I was using a lot of the light off of this window right here. And so I'd sit back there and film. And I'd gotten a document camera for use at work. So I would use that to film the writing samples. It wasn't quite as good a quality as the good camera, but it was good quality. And it had the advantage of that document camera had a nice little magnifying lens you could put on so you could get nice macro shots. Something I still struggle to do. Although the camera I'm talking to you on does macro shots, it's just I don't use it for them because I'm talking into it. So whatever. But I did that for a while, and then I decided to try green screen. Well, this is my living room. I mean, it's one end of my living room, but it's my living room. I do not want a giant green screen in my living room. And I'd started using lights by then, much bigger than what I use now. You know, this is relatively small. They used to be, you know, they had the big softbox and everything. And so I decided to move my set downstairs. So I did a couple of years downstairs sitting in front of the green screen. So I've been exploring different options for this video and you know, working on some new openings and so on. So hopefully you like what you see. That would be also something you could feel free to comment below. You can see the Aurora 88 here. Now, I called this an aspirational pen. Some people talk about what they call grail pens. I'm not into the grail pen thing. And one day I wanted to do a really deep clean down in the basement, so I did a really deep clean down the basement, took everything down, and I wanted to film, and I'm just like, okay, I don't quite have the downstairs put back together, and I decided just to set it up temporarily in the living room. Close to where I am now, except I used to film with this here to my back. I don't remember why I switched. Oh, I know why I switched to this. We'll get to that. But anyway, so the green screen was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the technical challenge of doing the color balancing and trying to get rid of that green fringe around me because in a real green screen, you're usually further away from it than I was, and you've got more room for lights and stuff, but, it's a small house. I don't have a lot of options. My vision was to somehow interact with the green screen, so I would put up, because I used to do the small screen up here of the pen while I was talking. Well, I'd have the image of the pen running in the background while I was talking and in front of the green screen. But I don't know. Once I came back up here and worked up here, although I don't enjoy having all this in my living room, I found it was much nicer and much more convenient, not to mention a lot warmer in the winter, to film upstairs. So I've been filming upstairs ever since. I've made a few changes and so on, but yeah, I've been filming upstairs. As far as camera gear, upgraded from the iPad to that Canon 5D Mark II, and then I started using the document camera for my writing samples. When I went downstairs, somewhere in that area is when I got the old version of the camera you're seeing me on, the Panasonic Lumix, and then I got this Canon Vixia camcorder, and that's followed me back upstairs too. Except last year when I did my Q&A last year, that Panasonic Lumix went boop, lens first into the dirt, so hence the Leica that I use now. But anyway, I really happy with this Leica. I love using it actually for photography. The Canon Vixia, part of me thinks the Leica would be fun to use on the pens, but I'm really happy with the Canon Vixia also, so I don't see that changing anytime soon. So I think for camera gear I'm set. I want to save for future camera gear, so okay, I have spent a little too much of my YouTube income on pens, but I do have that goal of saving. And hey, 3 more years and my house is paid off too, so that'll be nice. But anyway, I really happy with the camera gear that I have now. And I like this set. I think this is more of a homey type set than if I was in front of a green screen. Not a whole lot of personal information here, and yet at the same time, you walk into my living room, that's what's there. So, yeah. So let's see if I'm staying even close to what I wrote down as my outline. Oh yeah, so you saw a lot of this on my recent behind the scenes video. And then I did. I will say this: one of the things you learn doing this is how many mistakes you make, and I've learned a lot just from mistakes. Oh wow, that looked really bad, or ooh, that was blurry, or ooh, that was awkward. Why did I say that? Why was I sitting so weird? Why was I not looking at the camera? Those kind of things. So I like to think that I've slowly improved. You look at my early Neponset video and you can see some nervousness there and a lot of type stuff. So that's the kind of thing you just learn. And the other thing you learn is just to get comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with the sound of your own voice. And I think it's made me a better presenter in general doing this YouTube thing. So I think it's been of benefit to me as a teacher and just as a person who has to talk to other people, because I don't get nervous talking to people or standing in front of a crowd. I'm still the socially awkward nerd in person, but as we saw tonight with my fan that I met from beach, but we'll get over that. But in my defense, the pep band was playing right behind me, so I really couldn't hear them. But anyway, I've done a little changes to my videos. I used to do music for every video. Now I only do it for pens and use in my driving videos. I just decided, does every video need a title screen and music? And I thought, no, it really doesn't, because people are there to see the pen, not what fancy music am I using. So they're not here to see my fancy animation. I kind of think of Sam Cedar in the Majority Report. Whatever you think of him politically, he does not do much music, and he just jumps into the videos. He's got this little stinger with a picture of a TV, and then bam, which is his branding, and then bam, you're right in the video. And, you know, if I were to do something like that, that's about as far as I think I would go. You know, I see Pens in Use more as a weekly show, and it's longer, so I don't mind doing it. But for like a 10-minute pen review, do you really need music? So that's where I'm at. So, changes will keep coming. I think now they're more incremental than they were, but I'm always willing to learn. And I've definitely grown a thicker skin. I used to care more when I would offend people by things I would say, and now I really don't. You know, how can you say that? Well, don't like it, don't watch. I had a guy, I had a comment, I haven't shared it yet, but this guy was just upset with me because, this is like within the last 2 weeks. I filmed a video last year because I just bought a mask that was a squirrel faced. You know, had the mouth was right here, had the whiskers right here, the nose right here, and it, you know, it was over my mouth. And back then we were all in masks, and so I thought it was really cool. So I thought it'd be fun to open the video in it, and I don't know how far into the video he must have gotten, but he just went off on me for virtue signaling and about what's a piece of cloth doing, and I'm just like, dude, you're virtue signaling yourself, so shut up. And pretty sure he didn't watch the video anyway. You know, those kind of things would have bothered me at one time in my life, but now they don't. I even go on the attack sometimes when I get those kind of comments. Sometimes I share them. So, let me see here. What did I say? Are you protecting yourself from yourself with your fashion mask in your own house all alone? Or are you just virtue signaling? And then my response was, did you bother to watch the video and find out, or are you just virtue signaling? Okay, and then I had another one. I reviewed wrong link. I reviewed Dan Simmons' The Song of Kali, and as soon as you said the word xenophobic, I hit the dislike button and turned off your video. I expect that from a millennial or a Gen Z, but if you're unable to read a book objectively, don't bother with any reviews. It's just a story, remember? Easily offended people should probably just stay in their safe place and not read or watch movies. So I said, I don't think someone who turned off the video as soon as he heard the word xenophobic has any room to call people easily offended, to stay in their safe space and not read or watch movies. Unlike you, I actually read the whole book. You were apparently unable to finish a video because of one word. See, I've gotten so... I actually go on the attack sometimes. You know, some of the ones that are actually... You know, I've been called certain words... Or I've had certain words expressed or certain things expressed, let's say, that are xenophobic, homophobic, racist, or whatever. Those I'll delete, but that's a different kind of thing because that's not the kind of stuff I want in my comments. But in general, I don't care anymore. And, you know, this isn't how I make my money, so it's just a hobby, and it's nice that I get a couple dollars from it. Heck, I care so little about the dollars that I spent the last check all on a giveaway. And thank you to the viewer who does wish to remain anonymous, who paid for the shipping, because I was able to give out a lot more prizes that way. So, yeah. And I enjoy the interaction. I've got conservatives and liberals and, you know, who knows, all kinds of different people in my comment section. And, you know, I'd like to think that as pen people, we're not afraid of ideas, even if they're not ideas we agree with. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. So let me get back to my outline here. But anyway, my big plan, I want to do some more driving videos. So I've got one, I've been doing the script. I hope to film it on Saturday and then upload Sunday morning, because that's when I typically used to upload driving videos. I don't know exactly how far I will get, but I'm hoping to get really close to Velva, North Dakota on that trip. And I'm going to talk about actually a comment, not one of the trolls, a really good, deep comment that one of my viewers made to me about my Chinua Achebe's, I'm trying to remember the title of the book, Things Fall Apart. They made a brilliant comment that's something that just, I didn't even think of that type of comment about, the whole idea of the world changing. And I'm just like, whoa. So, and it's appropriate because of the changes I saw. And what has it been, 17 years since I lived in that area? And the tremendous number of changes I saw. And also relates to some of what's going to come when I get to the Minot video. So it should be, and anyway, it's interesting. And actually goes along with the book I've been reading just lately, the Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman. He wrote that in 1985 about television and its effect on discourse as compared to reading. And it's almost like he was a fortune teller looking toward this social media. And my driving videos definitely are the opposite extreme of of a little TikTok where they're dancing to a song or doing something silly to a song. I won't say my thoughts are brilliant, but it's a different type of video. So, anyway, so I'm hoping to get that up by Sunday. And, I just want to get back into doing more driving videos because I want to get back to that variety. I see some other who was her name? Carrie, Pens and Tea, has started doing book reviews on her channel, which has been kind of exciting, especially when she's actually talking about a book I've read, but also she talks about some books that, maybe I should read that. And some I'm just like, yeah, no, don't care. Which is how I look at all my pen reviews and all my book reviews, that some of it's for you, some of it you just, yeah, no, not for me. So, anyway, I want to thank you all for watching and sticking with me. 5,300 and some subscribers isn't a lot. A lot of fountain pen channels that started after me definitely outpaced me. I don't care. I'm happy with the people who are here. I'm just very grateful to each and every one of you who comes back every week and comments. I enjoy the interaction. I enjoy the chance to share this hobby, although now apparently there is somebody within driving distance that I could talk pens with, but I think it would be a little weird talking pens with a high school girl since I'm a 46-year-old man, but, that is still pretty cool that I've got a fan living nearby. So, anyway, I want to thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.